What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Today is Tuesday. Obviously we are doing a little bit of a Kona blend today from Winco. This one here is supposed to be kind of like a light roast. Just wanted to try it, wanted to have something new. It's pretty good. Obviously we did do the sweetened condensed milk. Enjoy the new container. It's a lot better than having to scoop out of the can, and it's just a lot easier to pour and stir. But anyways, so we are going to go through and obviously enjoy our coffee today. This is actually going to kind of be a split video. We're going to have obviously the coffee part, and we're also going to be doing some work on Sylvia today too. So just some reassembling to put her back together, and then we'll start on a different project for separate videos strictly for the car build playlist. So we're gonna go through and stop this portion here. I'm going to finish my coffee and watch a little bit of YouTube, and then I'm gonna go out and we'll work on the car together. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back out in the garage, obviously. We're gonna go through and get the engine put back together now. We're gonna go through and start with the actual plugs, get all those reconnected, get all the bolts for the spark plug portion bolted back down, get everything reconnected that we can up until the point of the parts that are currently being powder coated. The powder coated parts are projected 3 weeks from when we drop them off. Haven't heard anything back yet, obviously. I'm guessing it's going to end up being the end of January, beginning of February for those parts to actually get back into our possession. So right now we're going to go grab all the parts, and then we're going to get this process started. Okay, so we're going to go through and start by putting the bolts back in for the coil packs, which are obviously the top parts that make the contact with the spark plugs. Get those put down in place. Get all these started by hand, since we don't have any cross threading. Because obviously cross threading is not a good thing, especially when it comes to this kind of stuff. We don't need any extra damage. Okay, put that down. Now we're going to go through and get the plugs put back in. There's one. There's two. And three. Okay, so I got that all put back in. I'm going to go through and do the other side as well. Don't need to do that side on camera. I'm also going to go through and put on the foam pads that go up on the top. I opted to not buy new replacements right now just because of the fact that one side is 50 bucks and all it is just a piece of foam. So what I did is I went through and I cleaned off the original ones, cleaned off the heads themselves here, so this way it looks nice and presentable, and then obviously once we get everything else done up top, you're not going to see them anyway, so they're just going to be functional, not really appearance wise. So we're going to get that done right now and we'll be right back. Okay, so we've got those put back on there now. Now we're going to go through and get the manifold back on, air intake manifold, and then we're going to put the throttle body back on as well. We're going to clean the throttle body up first, as well as the air raid throttle body spacer. Those are pretty much the only things that we can really put on to the car until we get the rest of the cold air intake back. But obviously because we don't want to lose anything, I'm going to put this off separately. Okay, so we got that done. Now, you guys may or may not remember, if you guys are tuning into the channel fresh, whatever, the air intake manifold, it is going to sit up on top. There is actually a total of 6 bolts. One of them, which is of course the one that's in the very bottom, is shorter than the rest. So I obviously went through and marked that because that's the best way to go through and do this, is to mark everything according to it. I'm going to put the rest of this stuff aside. I'm going to start with the back one, and then we're going to do the rest of them. But first, we got to get this piece of cardboard out of the way. Side. And we're going to go through and get this manifold put into place. Now, I'm going to go through and put you guys onto a time lapse, and I'm going to go through and put in the other bolts.
Familiar faces prolong the embraces. We were always on for the breakaway, but we're nearing chances to wake the day. They're calling you over, the methods are bolder. We're lost in the time now, reminding ourselves how we were always once for the breakaway, but we're nearing chances to wake the day.
Okay, so we got that put back on. Now we're gonna go through and just get the rest of this taken care of here. Getting all the hoses and all the pieces back in place. We can finally go through and officially connect the new catch can in place. So that's good. So we got that in place, and then the only thing that we got to do now is to go through and put on the appearance cover and one last bolt, which is to hold, actually sorry, two last bolts back in place for the back of this manifold. It's actually more for the and just to tuck everything together. So we're gonna get that done. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're obviously gonna have to go through and clean that up because this has been collecting dust for a little bit. As for the push pin, got those out of the bag. That clicks there. That clicks there. Push down, push down. Cool. Put that over in place. Okay. And there's that. Boom. Okay, now obviously once we get the actual air intake back, and I'm going to take that off for here again in a second because we got to go through and put the actual throttle body in place, but once we get that back, I just wanted to go through and check the clearance for the attachment can. But once we get that back, anyways, we're gonna have to trim this part off because before, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but with the air intake, it was making contact with this corner here, and it basically rubbed a hole into the actual cold air intake tube. So we're gonna have to trim that up where that's not gonna make contact anymore. So let's go through and take this back off. Actually, I'm gonna clean that first, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we're gonna go through and take this back off now that I've got those cleaned, which definitely saw the importance of having the catch can when I was doing those cleaning, especially for the actual spacer here. The spacer does create a little bit of a vortex, but it also was catching oil, and I couldn't get all of it, but you can kind of see the black ring that's in there. It's supposed to be all this polished red, but it definitely had a lot of buildup in there. So let's go through and get this taken off here. Kind of set this aside a little bit. Let's grab the rag and grab the oil that's still inside of that was collecting in there. on here. Okay, so I got that done. Okay, now this has to go in here. Actually, no, the other way around. Which way is it supposed to go? This way. Okay, here we go. Plug this in. And go flat panel there. And the spacer. Obviously, you can tell it's been a while since I've had to reassemble this. That for now. Here. Believe it or not, that the throttle body spacer has to go in one individual way. It is not universal. It's starting to get a little dark, so let's get some light on the situation. So, got that. I'm gonna go through and tighten up all those bolts there, get this last one put in place. Yes, we are. Of course, you hear Ginger out there being obnoxious because the neighbors were walking by. That one, we're not going to fully tighten these all the way up because I just want to make sure we're tightening them in more of a cross pattern. I just want to get these in place first. Okay, so we got that done. Moving on. Be right back. Okay, so we went through and we got everything put back together. Obviously, the only thing that's missing is the cold air intake, and then we do have the actual air meter, or the flow meter rather, set aside because that actually goes inside of the air intake tube itself. And then we do have this breather vent that also is going to screw into that as well. So we've got those two pieces that are blank for now. We've got everything else back in place. Just to take this off so you can see it real quick. Rubber grommets, and we've got everything back in place. Now, funny thing, this throttle body spacer has to go in a very specific way, which is very irritating because that was why it wasn't wanting to go in properly before. It is shaped like a rectangle, but apparently the bolt holes down on the bottom are not centered. They're actually just a hair off, so basically that was why we were having that struggle bus earlier. So we got that all taken care of. We're going to end the video here. Thank you for joining us at Double SBC Garage. And in tomorrow, well, the next video that you guys see, we're actually going to go through and take off the front end. And in the process, we have to take out the inner fender wells as well as the front end portion of it. So this way we can get the next steps prepped for the oil cooler, as well as another thing that I'm going to be surprising you guys with. So you guys have a wonderful day, and we will talk later.